Game time! Oh yeah!
This episode is sponsored in part by PTZ Optics. Why hire a camera operator when the control is in your hands? Visit ptzoptics.com for more information. And by NewTek, makers of the TriCaster TC1. Stun your viewers, not your accountant. Visit newtek.com for more information.
Well, hey guys, it's time for some game time, and we've got a fun-filled show that's packed with content tonight for you. So without further ado, let's get the crew introduced. We've got Mr. Bill. Are you feeling better, Bill?
Much better, yes.
Well, unfortunately, you're better, but this guy is not so much. You gave it to him.
I passed it along.
He's hurting.
Sharing the wealth.
He's hurting. Moat, besides not feeling well, how are you doing, man?
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I'm great. Good evening, chat. Hit the like button, if not for any other reason. It's for the fact that you see me in front of your camera right now. I'm in your screen, and I am under the weather. Please hit the button.
He's under the weather. We told him we're gonna keep this to a 1-hour show tonight. We're gonna blaze through that. In fact, we're gonna hit you with some news right out of the gate. Keep the content flowing all hour long to keep you guys entertained. We have our newest correspondent, our newest member of Game Time. Everybody say hello to Will.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the news. Our top story tonight comes out of Germany, with the 2023 Gamescom happening there last week. While there were many interesting things shown off during the 5-day event, here are some of the highlights. NetDive Studios have announced that their next project will be a newly remastered version of the classic Star Wars game, Dark Forces. In addition, they also plan on bringing another classic first-person shooter to modern PCs and consoles, Turok 3: Shadow of Oblivion. AMD announced 2 new GPUs in their RX 7000 line, the RX 7800 XT and the RX 7700 XT. Both GPUs are said to be designed for gamers looking to get high FPS in-game with a targeted resolution of 1440p. NetEase Games announced a new free-to-play open-world game called Project Mugen. It's an anime-inspired game said to be a cross between Cyberpunk and Genshin Impact. In addition, many highly anticipated games were given exclusive looks and more gameplay info, including 16 minutes of RoboCop gameplay, 40 minutes of Alan Wake 2, Starfield's first mission, and more on Mortal Kombat 1 and Phantom Liberty, the new DLC for Cyberpunk 2077. For more on Gamescom and these upcoming titles, keep it right here on Game Time. And now, more news. Skater XL is coming to the Nintendo Switch on December 5th of 2023. It's currently available across PlayStation, Xbox, and PC via Steam. You can see the latest trailer online now. Speaking of trailers, a new official trailer has dropped for Mortal Kombat 1 featuring Dave Bautista. The trailer is called It's in Our Blood, and you can find it right now online. Are you looking to add more space to your PS5? Well, then look no further than Silicon Power's Gen 4 SSD. It's rated to run up to 7,300 megabytes per second. It has a built-in heatsink and is fully compatible with the PlayStation 5. It comes in 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, and 4 terabyte configurations, and it's on sale right now at Amazon. Back to the news, Microsoft has pulled the Xbox Game Pass trial ahead of Starfield's release. Now, it used to be that for $1 you could try out the Xbox Game Pass for 14 days. But with Starfield being one of their bigger releases and planned to be on Game Pass, they have decided to get rid of the trial access. So if you want Game Pass and you want to play Starfield, you are going to have to pony up for the full version. And finally, as we are coming to the end of August, summer is almost over and fall is getting ready to begin. Kids will be going back to school, which means less time to play video games. And Xbox has decided that now is the perfect time to do their end of summer sale with almost 1,000 games discounted. Now, these games will range from anywhere from 30% up to 80% off and are across many different developers. So if you are an Xbox owner, be sure to check out the end of summer sale now and pick up some games. And there you have it. That is the end of our news. Now, back to game time.
All right. Well, thank you, Will, for your news correspondence. Guys, what did you think? I mean, it makes it so much easier. Get all the news.
I'll tell you, I don't know who that Will guy is, but damn, he's a good-looking man.
That Will guy is a dapper yapper. I'll say that.
I'll tell you, he's looking to take your job there, Bill.
Maybe I don't have to watch out.
I thought it was really good. So we wanted to kind of give you guys as much content that we can pack in the hour, so you get all the news without the fluff, without us babbling on. So every week we do a retro game spotlight. Bill, your retro game spotlight this week is one of my, I don't want to say favorites, but it is a favorite. It's near and dear to my heart. Why don't you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, so you guys will see this coming up, but in another month or two, we've got the Metal Gear Solid collection coming out. And I know there's a lot of people who are excited for those Metal Gear Solid games, but I decided that an earlier game in the series needed a little spotlight of its own.
Retro Gaming Spotlight.
Coming this October, Konami will be releasing the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection across various platforms. It will include updated HD versions of the classic Metal Gear games, Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, and Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. And, as popular and famous as these games are, the story doesn't start here. For that, we need to go all the way back to 1987, for a game released on a computer system that, while not popular in the US, was huge in Japan, and parts of Europe too. That computer was the MSX system. The MSX was developed by Microsoft and ASCII and, like PCs in America, was a standardized 8-bit system with several manufacturers making MSX computers. The MSX was first developed in 1983 and retained its popularity throughout the 80s before being overshadowed by the 16-bit computers and consoles of the 1990s. There were several iterations of the MSX throughout its lifetime, including the MSX2 and the MSX2 Plus. But one game in particular that got its start on the MSX was the game Metal Gear. Metal Gear was the brainchild of Hideo Kojima and was published by Konami for the MSX2 in 1987. It would be a few months later before this game would make it to the Famicom, and then in 1988 to the NES in America under Konami's Ultra Games label. Metal Gear has you take on the role of Solid Snake, a Special Forces operative whose goal is to infiltrate an enemy base called Outer Heaven and destroy a top-secret weapon called Metal Gear. Interestingly enough, the game was first envisioned as a typical run-and-gun style action game. But due to the limits of the MSX2 hardware, Kojima decided to rework the game into the more stealth-heavy version we've come to associate with the franchise. Instead of going in guns blazing, it was more important to sneak around and avoid capture, only fighting when absolutely necessary. This made for a very unique gameplay experience compared to the more action-heavy games of the late 1980s. And here's something interesting regarding the main character, Solid Snake. While many people believe that the name was taken from Kurt Russell's character of Snake Plissken from the movie Escape from New York, Kojima has stated that this isn't true. He said that the name Snake came about to represent the stealthy nature of the game. He added the word solid to the name to give the impression of someone with a hardened image. In addition, Snake was originally meant to have a personality in the mold of characters like Lupin III from the Lupin series, a wisecracking womanizer. Now, this characterization has changed over the years to the more gruff version we know today, although, let's face it, Snake still loves the ladies.
You're Meryl? There's no way you could pass for a man for long.
What do you mean? Hey, men aren't allowed in here.
I had no idea you were so feminine.
This is no time to try and hit on me, Snake. How did you...
Luckily, the upcoming Master Collection will include the MSX version of both the original Metal Gear and its sequel, Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. You'll also be able to check out the NES version of Metal Gear as well as the non-canon Snake's Revenge. So, if you really want to go back in time and see where this series started, be sure to check out the original version of Metal Gear. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I hear someone coming. I gotta find a cardboard box to hide under. See ya! And we're back.
So, Metal Gear was something that we were talking. I first played it on the NES, and you said not a lot of people knew that it was available before the NES, right?
Right.
So
yeah, on the MSX computers over in Japan and a bunch of different places. And like I said, it was really interesting facts when I started to look it up. How the game was originally supposed to be much more action oriented, but that computer couldn't really handle it the way they wanted to do it, which is what led it to be more stealthy. A more stealthy game like we know now.
Yeah, so it's a pretty good game. I'm looking forward to the new ones coming up. Let's give a shout out to the folks that we've got in the chat room. We got this guy in the chat room. His name is Mike of All Trades. He's got this little character going on there. We've got Kevin Clausen. We've got Paul Barris. We've got Endless One Up. Endless, we haven't seen you in like endless amount of time. Matt Astro, what's going on? We've got Mike Hertz in the chat room. We've got Big Reese. Well, who else have we got in here? We've got Jason in the chat room. We've got Gaudy in the chat room. I think that's how you say it. And then we got Andy's Game Room, Prince Malcolm. And if I miss somebody, go ahead and put your comment in there. We've also got Galaga Guy. What's going on? Welcome to the show. We're hoping you guys are having a great day. We also want to give a shout out to the folks down in Florida. If you're watching us, our thoughts and prayers are going out to you guys right now because of the hurricane coming up the west coast of Florida. I know Bob from Token Taverns, he's batting down the hatches. He's going to be watching this later on in reruns because it's headed right toward him. I think he's in Tampa. And we've got MOAT. You're my person.
Well, I am a massive Grey's Anatomy fan.
Nice.
So, hashtag bring back Yang and Meredith. You know what I'm saying? That's Derek Shepard. You know what I mean? They should have never killed off. They should have never killed off Lexi.
No.
And, Calliope should also be back on the show. Screw Arizona.
19 seasons and still running, right?
Like 20.
Is it 20 now?
Wow.
Is it? Wow. Jeez.
Yeah.
Yes. Another hurricane. Yeah. And here's the worst part about it. And I predicted this from day one when they first saw it in the Gulf, that it's going to loop around and come back, and it looks like it's going to smack Orlando and Miami. So they're going to get a double whammy. Let's hope it doesn't turn. Let's hope it's it just. Oh, Bob is in Clearwater. Okay. My mistake. I thought he said he was in Tampa. But either way, Clearwater is still in the danger zone. All those guys down there in Florida. So we want to We understand. We understand what's going on there. So, but what we want to do tonight, I want to have some fun tonight, and we need some audience participation, especially since our third colleague here is really under the weather. But I think once we get talking into the next subject here, I think we could have a lot of fun. Okay. So one of the things that you guys have seen as of recently, probably over the last couple months, is I've really been putting a lot of time and effort into my console collecting. I've been doing a lot of that as of late. The arcades, we've been playing them on the weekends. We've been doing them on game night, but we've also been doing console stuff. And I actually just ordered the 1990 championship cartridge that I'd like to do with the community on here and have everybody post a 2-minute video of how they do on the 1990 challenge. When you play Super Mario Brothers, you got to get like 60 coins, and then you got to make it through one stage in Rad Racer, and also see what level you can get up to in Tetris. So there's a lot going on with that. But tonight's topic, if you guys had seen it, collector's paradise, right? I'm going to give you a preface of what we're going to talk about tonight. Check this out. Hey guys, it's Steve from the Tech Buzz Gaming. Welcome to Game Time. We're here to talk about something very interesting. I want to talk to you guys today about video game collecting. Video game collecting is something that a lot of us do and a lot of us don't do. Some guys would rather emulate, they'd rather get like a multi-cart to have every game and play on original hardware. But one of the things that I like to do is I like to collect physical cartridges, whether to have them here on my shelf here in my game room or to just play the original cartridges. I mean, there's something just about pulling out a cartridge, putting it in your system, and playing it. So today I want to discuss this a little bit with you, the audience here on Game Time. Now, I know we're going to be starting a show coming up here in October called Console Wars, but I want to discuss video game collecting and what you're collecting for. A lot of content creators out there have told me that I'm crazy for collecting for the NES. As you guys know, I'm trying to collect for the complete North American collection. I've even had guys like Big Reese in the chat room send me in some games, as well as a few other viewers, to add to my collection just to have them here in my collection. But what makes collecting special? That's the question that I want to pose to everyone out there. If you collect for a specific system, why do you collect for it? I know for me personally, I can look at some of these games that I have here in my collection. Take Super Mario Brothers 2, for example. This game, I remember, we didn't have a lot of money growing up, and I remember we got the Nintendo for Christmas, and Easter that year, my parents got us Super Mario Brothers 2, and we beat this game 20 ways from Sunday with every character. This was a game that we really enjoyed, and I remember my brother and I waking up at 4 in the morning and turning the TV down low on a Saturday and playing the game, or even before school, we would turn the volume down so my parents wouldn't hear, so we could get some game time in before we went to school or on a Saturday. And it was just a game that, you know, like I said, I remember a lot with. In fact, my collection now is bigger than the library that I had as a kid. Let's take, for instance, TNC Surf Design. This is a game that I remember as a kid. One of my best friends when I was 7, he brought this game over to my house, and I remember the good times that I had for a couple years. We've lost touch since, but I remember every time I pick this game up, I remember him, I remember his name, I remember what we did. I remember the afternoon we would play this, and then we went to a skating complex in my local area, and we would skate, and then we came back and we played this. It just brings back a lot of great memories of when I was a kid. Another game I know a lot of people may or may not have love for, and that's Bubble Bobble. Now, Bubble Bobble was a game I remember my brother and I getting up to level 236. We would play this over and over and over again and try to complete this game, which is kind of next to impossible because it just seems to keep going and going and going. But this was a game that brings back a lot of memories, at least for me. So I could sit here and go through each and every one of these cartridges, and one of the things that was spoken to me by other content creators, and they're not wrong, is today's day and age is not the time to be collecting for the NES because of the expense, the cost. Everything's gone up in price. I mean, you can come over and you can get 3DS games over here. Master System's another one hard to get for. You can come over here and you've got Wii U, we've got Wii, we've got GameCube, which I am picking up games for all these. But I'm collecting for 53 different consoles. So that is something not everybody's going to do, but my main focus has been on the NES. Now, I've never shown this before, but I have 2 grails for the collection. I have a complete in box, and I have this in a plastic protector. Complete in box, Little Samson. Now, I didn't grow up with this game, but it is a game that is very hard to get. It is rare, and this is a game that I have in my collection. I also have another rare gem that a lot of people are on the lookout for, and that is Stadium Events. Now, Stadium Events is a game that is, well, I wouldn't say near and dear to me, but what it turned into is world-class track meet where you played on the power pad. This game was something that I know a lot of collectors have been looking and searching for. This has a very, very high price tag on it, and I just keep it in my collection. So 2 of my grails I have. So one of the other ones that I need to get is Bonk's Adventure and the Flintstones. Those are ones I'm still on the lookout for and that I'm going to add to the collection. I think I'm about 250 strong. I've got some in box. I've got some out there that are higher value, like the Zeldas that are complete in box. But I'm predominantly not a complete in box collector, but if I have them, obviously I will. So, what's your favorite console that you're collecting for? And if you're collecting for it, why are you collecting for it? Do the games bring you some form of nostalgia? Does it bring you back to your childhood? What I'd like for you guys to do is get involved in this show. I want you to record yourself in a 2-minute video. You don't even have to be on camera. You could just kind of show your games. But tell us why you're collecting for the console and what your favorite games are and some of the reasons that they are your favorite games. Maybe it brings you back to a time in your life that was exciting. Put it up on Dropbox or Google Drive and send me a link. Either DM me on Twitter or X or whatever it's being called now. Send me an email, steve@ttbgaming.com. Instagram, Facebook. Look, there's many ways to get a hold of me. Put it out there. We want to showcase it on the show. If not on this show, at least with Console Wars. I want to be able to showcase your collection because I think it's interesting. And we're going to get into a little bit of a dialogue here as to why some of these guys are collecting what they're collecting. Guys, let's get it back to the studio. All right, a lot of questions were coming in here. Yes. Do I have DuckTales 2? I do not have DuckTales 2. I don't have DuckTales 1 yet. There's a few games, and I think there was another question that came up here. Jason had asked, he said, so how many games do you have now for the NES? I have about, I think it's 253, I want to say, out of the 670. Wow. And I started 2 months ago, and I made the mistake, and I stopped doing What's Up Ness. And I had a couple people, Big Reese being one, said that, I really enjoyed you doing that. So I'm going to keep going. The problem that I run into is I'm at the point now where I'm still getting a lot of the common games, but sometimes around here I pick the stores clean. Like I have to wait sometimes a month or two. Like I literally just got Paperboy this past weekend, which is a $25 game. But I picked over the whole store, so I have to literally wait until the games come in. But What do you guys think? Are you collecting for any systems currently? I know, Bill, you just recently, I think back when Glenn was on the show here, you actually got an Atari and a Nintendo, right?
So I've got a couple of things right now. So I started out. So the funny thing is, when I started into this community, I got in more for the home arcade scene. I wanted to build a little game room around home arcades, and I said, I'm not going to get back into collecting and playing these console games and whatever, because I've done that before. I have emulators. I can play so much of this stuff, so on and so forth. Well, then I wound up getting an NES from someone who gave me their old one. I wound up getting a ColecoVision from someone who gave me their old one. I purchased the Atari adapter for the ColecoVision. So now I have ColecoVision that I can play. I have Atari 2600 that I can play. The NES that I got, I've done a little bit of work on it, but it's still very finicky. Sometimes it'll play this stuff, sometimes it won't. So right now I actually put that off to the side. It's sitting on a shelf, and I bought there's a company called Old School that makes retro consoles, and I bought one of their retro consoles that plays both NES and Super NES games. So I have one console that plays both. It's got HDMI out, so it hooks right up to the TV. It's got ports for both of the NES and SNES controllers on it, all that kind of good stuff. So now I can get Super Nintendo games as well. So now you got ColecoVision, Atari, Nintendo, Super Nintendo. Those are the four that I have right now. And while I'm trying really, really hard not to get into a big thing of trying to collect a lot of stuff, I am looking for, certain games that hold a lot of nostalgia for me that I would love to pick up and play again.
So there was a question that popped up here about what do you use to keep track of what you have? What app do you use? And I actually use this app from collectors with a Z.com. It's called CLZ Game, and it's for iOS or Android. It's $15 per year, but it gives you access to it via your phone, your tablet, the website, and it catalogs your games. You simply scan the barcode on the back of the game. It then inputs it into it. You tell it if it's complete in box, if it's loose. You can also search it by title, by genre. You can search it by the console and put it in, and it'll give you an estimated value of what your collection's worth, so you can continue to build up your collection. So I am not sponsored by them. I just want to stress that. It's worked very well for me. Moat, what about you? Is there? They're telling me I should give you my stadium events. It'll make you feel better. But are you are you currently collecting for any console?
So I was collecting, and then I realized I don't have room.
Yeah, well, that's a good reason.
So it became this thing where it's just like it's either stuff ends up in boxes, or I have walls of wall stuff, and I don't know if you've seen in here before, but it's already kind of jam packed. And I really didn't want it spilling into like my living room or something. So I kind of slowed down on it. It was literally the idea I was collecting NES stuff, and I still have some of the stuff, right? But it's just, you're spacing yourself. Like some of the stuff's actually kind of really hard to get. Like the cool stuff is really hard to get to. Stuff like Dreamcast and stuff like that. Like shout out to Damien, because literally he shot me a Dreamcast with the GDMU in it. So
oh, nice.
Literally it's the whole library on one SSD, and it's a glorious thing. So I mean, I think that's where I'm at right now. Literally, it's just if I finish the collection, it's gonna be NES, because it's it's what brought me into gaming. It's what got me into gaming. It's what I spent hundreds upon thousands of hours of, from being like 6 years old all the way up until I got a Sega Genesis. So I don't know how many hours you want to put that into. Yeah. And that being the A button got worn out. So for me, that's something I would collect. But like all the new stuff, it's not even worth it, because most of it requires digital and online connections and whatever else. But
and that's something I want to get into here in a little bit. I see Gallagher guy in the chat room. He's saying that I'm collecting NES, N64, and GameCube. That's something that I think a lot of people, they ask me when they come over here, because all my cartridge consoles, everyone that has a cart, they all have a Mega Drive in them, and people are like, well, you have every game on the Mega Drive. Why would you be collecting physical copies? And it's not just about collect. I mean, obviously, you're trying to do right by the company and actually own the game that you have a ROM for, right? But there's just something about getting that actual cartridge, right? It's and I've attributed it to like kind of like collecting cards or baseball cards, football cards, things like that as a kid. I feel like when you're going for a full set, now not everybody goes for complete sets. Um, People actually said I was crazy, especially now because NES titles are through the roof. Like it's ridiculous. Do you guys build? I mean, do you think that people should be going out and collecting full sets, or do you think it's more or less people should just go out and buy the games that they want and stay away from the shovelware?
I think it's up. I mean, personally, I think it's up to the individual what they want to do. If somebody is really, wants to put together a full collection and they want to get every game. Obviously, I mean, Steven, that's easier said than done, especially for some systems versus others. There are some out there that don't have a lot of games, and there are some out there that have hundreds upon hundreds of games. But I think probably the majority of people, I would think, are mostly just interested in the games they're interested in, and that. Actually, I want to ask you a question here because you've made an interesting comment where you're talking, and I understand where you're coming from on it with the Mega Drive, owning that, but then wanting to own the games to legally own the games, for the companies and whatever. At this point, why does that matter? And I'm saying that because these games came out 20, 30, 40 years ago. These companies, they got their money on it. When you go to a flea market or a game store or whatever, and you buy your NES games, Nintendo's not making a dime anymore.
Right. Yeah, and
they already made their money.
They made their money, and chances are I paid 3, 4, 5 times over what the game originally came out for.
Very likely, yeah.
I guess it's just one of those things that you're trying to do everything on the up and up, right? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with because it is 40 years. It's not like I'm taking a PS5 game and I'm borrowing it from a friend and I'm ripping it, putting it on there, that type of thing.
I mean, you could, yeah.
But I know you can. I know you can put things on hard drives. Again, I think it goes back to like when I get these games, I don't want to run the risk of having them damaged by putting them in the consoles while kids are playing with them when they come over and they're like, "Hey, I want to play Duck Hunt. I've never played Duck Hunt or Track Meet. I want to run on the Power Pad." I would, even though Nintendo games you could pretty much throw them down the stairs and they're still going to work. I get that. I guess it's just for me, and this is why I finally realized why I collect, and I think it's just because of the preservation of it. I'm trying to do what I can to preserve this. And my son and I were talking about this, and I said, I'll be dead and gone. You might be dead and gone, but if you could take care of these and teach your kids, these things could last because I'm getting a lot of these recapped. So if they lasted almost 60 years, 40, 50, even 60, they could have made it on the single capping. And then you go back and recap it. That's going to be another 60 to 80 years, right? Before they're going to need anything. If they keep on it, I mean, these things could outlive us, right? And I think for me, that's the preservation because it's the history behind, like Moat, you said it just a little bit ago. You said that's what got you started. I think there's that fuzzy feeling in your stomach that kicks every time you see a certain game.
Oh yeah.
And it's not indigestion and it's not you feeling sick. It's that nostalgia factor where you go, oh, I remember what I was doing with that. Me and my friends, we were playing XYZ game, and you're instantly taken back to that period in time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, and let's be real, everybody has a memory that ties into it. For being sick, Mike is a sick kid, an adult, whatever else, right? We're not getting to that, but Super Street Fighter 2 for the Sega Genesis was a game that I remember my mom specifically like taking me to go buy after having a procedure when I was like 11. You know what I mean? So like those kind of stuff, those kind of memories and stuff, like that stuff sticks with you. And it's just, I can't explain for people, but it's just something about taking a cartridge out of a sleeve, sliding it into a console, securing it, turning on the power switch. Like there's nothing like it, And even now, like I think my kid, he started on the he really started on the Nintendo Wii. So now he's fascinated with like he's modding the Wii and whatever else to try to preserve those kind of stuff, right? So again, some of it's just ingrained in us, but a lot of it's preserving what you love. I think that, and that's in anything.
It's preserving history, Bill. That's what you with Atari, and I know you didn't want to go back down the road of collecting. But Gallagher guy in the chat room, he said, what is recapping? And that's replacing. Yeah, I know. Jason responded about replacing capacitors. Sometimes they'll leak. They're little barrel-looking things that are on your circuit boards. A lot of times your joint where all the chips are soldered to your board. A lot of times what they'll do they'll put some flux on it and they'll go in and heat that solder up to make it have a better connection to those chips so they don't run into problems. The pin connectors for your games, some of them are soldered. Like I know the Jaguar soldered to your board. Sometimes replacing those things, it breathes new life into your games. What about you, Bill? I mean, do you get the warm fuzzy feeling of slapping one of them Atari games into your system or Nintendo and take you back to the 80s, or does it really just not do anything for you?
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, look, I brought that up before just to kind of play a little devil's advocate and get that conversation going. But I totally understand where you're coming from on the collecting. I love that idea of preserving history and whatever. And yeah, look, I said I've got I don't know how many games sitting on this computer here. I've got a Raspberry Pi full of games. There's a million different ways I can play these games, but you never get that. It's not the same feeling of pulling out that cartridge, sticking it in the slot, putting the game exactly like Mike was talking about. There's something like really, really nostalgic about it. And kids these days won't know the joy.
Well, before we get
of putting your NES cartridge in, it doesn't work, pulling it out, blowing on it, putting it in, and all of a sudden it works.
It works. To this day, I still don't understand that. Yeah. Before
we were probably doing more damage than good because we were actually spitting on the damn thing.
I was just gonna say, yeah. Now you just sprayed the oxide on it. You don't have to blow on it, and you stick it in, and it works fine. So, had I known that back then, I could have saved the blood vessels in my face from blowing on them suckers so many times.
We didn't care. It was just like running.
No, I know.
Leaving the system on while we were going to school or something like that, and then coming back and trying to finish up at their homework. We ain't know any better, but you know what? That's the way we like it. Gosh darn it.
That's right.
That's the way we like it.
Now, I know a lot of you guys, you saw that I had stadium events and I had Little Samson, and I think this is the other side of collecting that a lot of people they don't know, or they look past, is obtaining those obscure and hard to find games. Just this past weekend, if you haven't seen it, go to my Instagram. I bought a huge score, and I didn't spend more than $200. And I just brought a few of the heavy hitters with me here that I wanted to show you. I managed to pick this up, and you guys know this is not a cheap game, A Link to the Past. And it would make you cry if I told you how much I paid for it. But again,
$7.99.
Flea markets, pawn shops, they're your best. Even GameCube. I'm not in the process of getting any of the GameCube complete sets, but I got these games complete. Shadow the Hedgehog for GameCube.
Not a bad game.
This one here with Sonic 2 Adventure Battle.
That game is goated. It's great.
But both of these games are worth $50-some. And Monster House, it's not. You would think like, well, why? This thing's worth some good money. But the biggest heavy hitter you would never expect is Animaniacs.
Ooh.
This game is worth $122 as it sits, and it's crispy.
Wow.
And complete. Everything's in it, even the additional manuals that it comes with, all your inserts. That's why I was like, I can't pass this up. So,
wow.
$90. $90 for all these games.
What?
And
wait, you paid how much?
$90 for all that, and
wow.
And there was another game I got, TY, that little fox, whatever.
It's
a it's a 20. I think it's a $15 game. But I got all them for $90 cash with the Zelda and all that together.
Wow.
So I couldn't pass it up. That to me was a good weekend. I got the silver PS2. If you go look at it, I got that for $55, and normally those are going right now on eBay about $150 to $189, and that's sold for. They're starting bids at $79 to $80. Do I need another PS2? No, I have the white one and the black one, but we all know that the silver ones, they're hard to find and hard to get that are in good working order. So for me, it's a lot of it too is the hunt. I probably hunt more than I play.
Yeah. I was actually just thinking that when you said it, when you're talking about collecting and all, I think for some people it's the joy of the hunt. It's that finding that cartridge that you weren't expecting to find, even if you think the game sucks and you'll never play it.
Yep.
But, just finding that one that, is hard to find and saying, this one's mine. I got it.
I just going through like a yard sale or garage sale, my son has gotten to the point where he could spot things like that. We went to a garage sale a couple weeks ago, and he found a Sega in a box, a Gen 2, had 4 controllers, and they were ready for the trash. They weren't that good to write home about. But there was probably about 30 Sega cartridges loose in the bottom. One of them was Sonic and Knuckles. The kid wanted $30 for it, and I tallied up when I got home the value of all the games, and we were at $520 without the system.
Wow.
So that was a huge score for us. And a lot of people will say, well, you just do it for the value. No, it helps determine, did we get a good deal or did we not get a good deal, right? There's people out there that have Atari games, they think they have gold. So I don't know, especially with that new Atari, the Atari, 2600 Plus that just was announced?
Yeah.
What people don't realize, and collectors, and you guys are hearing this from me here, what you guys don't realize is they just made your Atari games go up in value. So get out there and look for some Atari games, because what's going to happen is they're going to double and triple in price. Because when that system comes out and it can play these games, they're going to be high in demand. So I don't know. For me, like I said in the video, I have 53 consoles going back to the 2600 and in handhelds, not just standalone consoles. But for me, like when I want to play the games, I get the Mega Drive out and I play them. But there's a lot of games. I don't know if you guys even realize that for the NES that I didn't realize growing up that they had. I don't ever remember seeing them or hearing about them. Have you guys stumbled on any games like that where you were like, I really don't remember them making this game for the NES? Like Bonk's Adventure, I'll use that as an example. I never realized that they made that game growing up. I always thought that was a TurboGrafx game.
Same.
Yep.
Because it's really, really rare.
I think the game that shook me like that was when as a kid, you played Donkey Kong on arcade, you played on Nintendo, but then once I found out it was on Atari, I was just kind of like, wait, what? I think that was a game that I was just kind of like, there's no freaking way, none whatsoever.
I see some of these guys in here. Kevin goes, watch, you'll be selling these to pay for your kids for college. No, you know what? I had to pay for my college. My kids are going to work. They're going to pay for their college. I feel like if the kids don't pay for their college, and this is a whole nother discussion, I feel like that's when they don't want to try to do their best. Like I was taught, I paid for my college. I'm still paying for my college loans. So, it is what it is. But neither here nor there. Question I have for you guys now. So you're collecting all these consoles. Which console do you find is the easiest to collect for? Are you guys finding that you're steering away from, I know, Moat, you said you don't have a lot of room, but if you were going to start collecting for a console right now, with the prices of NES, I know you said you wanted to do NES, but let's just say it's just a lot of the games are out of your price range, what would be the second console that you would start collecting for?
The Wii U.
Why?
Because the Wii U it's still fairly new right now. The prices are still kind of low on most of the games. and they're not being like driven up astronomically. Just for the games, the consoles on the other hand might be sometimes it's hard to find. Sometimes I mean they only sold like 12 million, but the games you can get anywhere from like $2, you know what I'm saying, on the low end, and then maybe you're paying full retail for some of the games, unless you're looking for like Fatal Frame or something like that. But the Wii U is actually really affordable to collect for right now, and considering there was only like what 200-300 of them, and a lot of games you can still find in the plastic. I think that's a console that literally you can collect for right now, and it would just appreciate more in value later down the road. Like that's something I would start collecting for. Honestly, it's something I
I
actually
like
was
that.
collecting for, and then I modded my Wii U and I said, "Screw it."
What about you, Bill? Is there? I mean, I know you have Atari, you have Nintendo, and you kind of fell into that, but it wasn't necessarily your choice. If you had unlimited room, which I know you have that building up above, you have all that space. If you had
not as much room as you think.
well, if you had the funds,
Mm-hmm.
and you had the desire to do it, what would be the console that you would choose to collect for?
It's tough. Well, like I said, I did just buy that console that lets me play NES and Super NES, and I've only picked up a couple of Super Nintendo games just because I only did it recently, and I wanted to test it out, make sure it worked, all that kind of stuff. I would probably go back to Super Nintendo just because of all. I think that's probably the one I have the most nostalgia for, even though ColecoVision was my first ever console, and I have a lot of love for that. I feel like growing up because I had two younger brothers, they were both around at that time. I think that's the stuff we played the most. I had mine with me at college, so I played that a lot with my roommates and friends there. I was at that right age where that was just the console to be playing at the time, and I think I would love to go back and just get a bunch of those games, get some that I didn't have, things like that.
Now, a lot of the people that I've run into, and they come down here and they see the arcade, and they see that it kind of gives them that feel of a dive bar with arcades in it, and then you go into the other room and it's got the consoles, and it takes them back to how game stores were back in the 80s and everything. And some people have actually said to me, they said, do you have a problem letting go of the past? Is that why you collect all this stuff? Is that why you're... No, I mean, and it's an honest question, and I'm posing it to everybody in the chat as well as you guys. Does there come a point in time where you sit there and you say, there's certain things in my past that I really should let go? Is this one of them? Is there a need? I mean, yeah, we talked about preserving the past, preserving the history of gaming. But is there a point in time that you have to let go of the past? You got to let go of those feelings, those emotions that are being brought out from these games, or do you think it's okay? It's just, I mean, it's just collecting games. Mo, what do you think?
No, no. Listen. If it's a financial thing and other priorities, I get that. But just the act of it all, no, you don't let it go because you need something to elicit emotions and responses out of you. It's the reason why people love cinema. People love watching a good movie. You know what I mean? That connects to you. For instance, I'll be real with y'all. Every time I watch Meet the Robinsons, I tear up towards the end when Rob Thomas starts singing Little Wonders, or the Amazing Spider-Man where he gets shot in the leg and he hops on the rooftop and he's trying to like hobble and they start turning the crane so he could sling. I get emotional at why? Because it pulls a response out of you because it's something that you're connected to. It's the same thing with games. So, if it's something is giving you a response, no, you don't give that. You don't give that up. You don't let it go. So that's just me personally.
Bill?
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with that. I mean, I've been told I've been told, and I don't think it was meant as a compliment, but I take it that way, that I have Peter Pan syndrome because I never want to grow up.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So, but I do think that things, hobbies change, things that we're into at the time change. And I've said this before, but I spent a very, very, very long part of my life collecting comics. And it was just a few years ago that I decided they were taking up too much room. I wasn't, going back and rereading them anymore. I've read all of them so many times that it was time to let them go and move on to something else. And by selling those, that paved the way for this new hobby where I could put money into building a game room, get the first few, machines that I bought and things like that. So I wouldn't say I let go of the past. I would say I traded one old hobby for a new old hobby, if that makes sense.
No, 100% makes sense. Like a lot of us, just like you said earlier, a lot of us got into this space collecting and getting the home arcades. I mean, let's not dismiss that, right? We bought them in hopes to recreate that arcade scene that we had when we were in our teenage years and our young adult years, and they take up room, right? I've been wrestling with this because I've had some opportunities to get a Switch kiosk. And if I get a Switch kiosk, that means I got to let some arcades go because I need some room. And so the reality started setting in. Like, I love having the arcade. Friends that come over loves playing in the arcade. But what's more important, that whole arcade feel or keeping 5 to 6 arcades that are sprinkled amongst console gaming with multiple TVs set up almost like a sports bar? Where, if MOAT comes over, he can play PS1 if he wants, and Bill, you're over here playing Super Nintendo on another TV. Is that the direction that I want to go? Still keeping that nostalgia, because there's a lot of these games that I know they hit, man. They just hit. When you start playing them, you hear that music and you go, you're instantly taken back.
Yep.
Instantly.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what everybody forgets, even with these arcades, man. You fire them up, and there's certain things about them that you just go instantly. You're taken back to that time, a good time. Maybe some of you guys had bad upbringings, and your parents were together, and you remember playing a game, and then your parents split. But that's a happy time with playing that game. You remember those positive things or the good Christmases, right? Maybe you had some bad Christmases, but those games bring out the good times, right? So I'm kind of with you. Like, people could sit there and say Peter Pan syndrome all they want, but at the end of the day, I see people who collect bottle caps. I see people who collect beer cans and beer bottles that don't really do anything except sit on a shelf. So to each their own, right? So one other thing before we go through and wrap this up for tonight's discussion, what do you guys think about the potential, and Glenn and I have talked about this even off camera, the potential of another retro game crash or video game crash? What do you think the possibilities are of that? And should that scare collectors? Let's start with you, Bill, on this one.
Well, first off, in terms of retro, I don't necessarily see that happening. I've been seeing more. It feels like there's more and more of a resurgence to it every year. Like the retro scene, people kept collecting, looking into older games, has just grown from a niche to more mainstream. I mean, you got, what is it? GameStop right now is trying to get back into selling older games. As far as like a newer video, like an overall video game crash, I don't see it happening again. I think the industry is past that. I think it's too big. It's just a part of media, like movies and music and everything else. It's so ingrained in people's lives right now. I mean, look at the games coming out: Starfield, Mortal Kombat, Cyberpunk. These games have got bigger budgets than some movies do now. And they're making that money back. I don't see it happening.
Mo, what do you think?
A retro game crash. Listen, if there's a retro game crash, I'll be standing there with my wallet ready to pick up the pieces.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Like the last, there's been a boom in retro gaming, like in collecting in the last 3 to 4 years, right before the pandemic, and the pandemic just did more to enhance that because people needed things to do. When you're in the house, you need stuff to do. But now that people are going to get out, that's kind of slowed down. Will there ever be a video game crash? No. No, we're too far gone for that now. That is a multi-billion-dollar industry. You know, Rockstar alone had what last time I checked, I think the number was 600 million a year just off of GTA Online. No, the game with the Fortnite makes X amount of money. No, it's gaming will never go away. This isn't the early 80s. You know, it's like that's over with. Gaming will be fine. Retro gaming, there's going to be eventually. I think there's going to be a crash, but it's not going to be because of the hardcores. It's going to be because of the casuals. Because the casuals went and bought everything up, and they sat on stuff. You know, it's the same thing when the NES Classic came out, the SNES Classic. It was there's limited supply of this. Let me be a scalper. Let me buy it all. And then what's going to end up happening is like all those people who bought PS5s day one, and then hoarded PS5s and was trying to sell them for like $800 to like $1,500, and now they're readily available. So it's going to be the same thing with like retro gaming, where you can walk in the store. I think the hardest thing you can't find in the store now is an original Xbox. Anything else, I could walk into my local game store and I can go pick up for the most part.
Well, and TurboGrafx.
Even DuckTales.
Yeah.
Even DuckTales.
Mike, the bad guy, Mike Worley, says, I'm about to head to the desert to search for some ET cartridges. You know what? I almost picked up ET for Atari over the weekend. The guy wanted $26 and the box, the top was ripped off. It was in box. But the top was ripped off, and I'm like, I can't do it. Because it was a horrible game.
Not at that price.
No.
You have more of a chance of a custom Monopoly board going up in price, like those, like a GameStop, whatever else. No.
So I want to bring up something that goes along with this crash, because I was talking to a friend of mine who has a game store. Okay, it's a mom and pop shop, and he says, and I quote, this is what he said: I blame all the content creators and the live streamers for making the cost of retro games and old video game systems go through the roof. They're the ones to blame, and they're going to be the cause of the demise of the retro gaming space.
You know what? I'm not going to disagree with that.
That's why I wanted to throw it out, because I was like, new content creators are born every day. What do you think about that, Mo?
They're not wrong. They're right. Let's call a spade, like FOMO and, whatever else. Like, whoa, this person has this. It looks really cool in the background. I want that. This person's got that. I want that. Or they're playing this. I want that. Yeah, no, FOMO is a hell of a drug. So when you watch videos of somebody and they're making content of somebody that you enjoy, yeah, it could definitely help drive the price up. Is it like impacting a whole country, whatever? No. But you guys know, as content creators, we do have an influence. And we do have some kind of sway. I'm still flabbergasted by that, by the way, over people's decisions. So, I would say, yes, some of that's true. But at the end of the day, we're not in the store with you. We're not making you pull out your credit or debit cards. We're not making you put cash on the wood. And ultimately, it's still your choice.
That's right.
Now, that being said, if you have a little moat in your voice in your head that's saying, hey, buy this or buy that, I don't know, like record it. I like to watch this process.
Bill, what do you think of that? That's a strong statement.
It is, and yeah, I can see some merit to it. You know what? I was sitting here thinking about it, and it kind of reminded me of something. Have you ever been like? A lot of us have been like in the market for a particular car,
and
the next thing you know, you're driving down the road and you see that car everywhere.
Yep.
You've never noticed that car before in your entire life.
And the color.
And everything. And it's the exact color and everything. And the next thing you know, it's everywhere. This is very much like that. As soon as you get a little like tickle in your brain about, you want to kind of get into this, you're thinking about these old games, you're having nostalgia about it. Next thing you know, Google sends you a video clip, and you watch that video clip, and then you watch another one, and then you watch another one, and then you find this guy, and then you find that guy, and you've watched hundreds of content creators all talking about the same thing, all talking about what you're interested in, and it just reinforces how much you want it.
Yep.
So yeah, I think I think it it starts with individual people having that idea of what they want.
Right.
But then things like this just reinforce that.
But here's the double-edged sword. Okay, and this is what I told him as a rebuttal to that question. I said, without the content creators and the live streamers, that's how he called them, content creators and live streamers, you wouldn't get the foot traffic at these conventions that you're getting now. And I'm not saying people are coming to see me, like I might have 3 people that, or in Cleveland, there's a bunch of people that we all know each other, so we're all going to be there, right? But I'm talking about like when I went to Korg's, there was about 10 people there that knew who I was, right? I'm talking about the big content creators. I'm talking about the guys that are household names that people know in this space, right? They are the reason in a lot of cases. I'm guilty as charged. Steve Wright. I never met him in person. I've been friends with him for almost 20 years. Okay? I went to that convention for the sole purpose of hanging out with him in person because we're friends. And I feel like it's a double-edged sword, because if you get the creators out of that space, you lose the conventions, and I'll tell you the reason why. The internet gives you so much access, like Mercari, eBay, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, to buy these rare and unusual games, and you don't even have to leave your house and get sick like MOAT. You can do it from the comfort of your living room, sitting in your underwear.
Is that how you shop, Steven?
That's exactly how I did. That's how I shop for a mortgage too. But all kidding aside, that's the reality. That's the day and age that we're in. So I think it's a double-edged sword. Yeah, the content creators, I agree with you guys. The content creators are driving prices up because, these gems that they're telling everybody. But I also think that without the content creators, you don't have that foot traffic. You just don't. Maybe I'm wrong. Guys in the chat, tell me if I'm right or wrong. It's okay. I'm a big boy. I can swallow it if you say I'm wrong. But just something to chew on for this. I thought it was an interesting topic to discuss tonight. Before we say adieu to our panel here, I want to encourage you guys out there. I want you guys to get involved. I wasn't kidding on that walkthrough. I want you to shoot a 2-minute video, even if you don't want to be on camera. I don't care if you use your cell phone. Point it at your collection, and I want you to narrate. Give me 2 minutes. Tell me why you're collecting for that system, and tell me what those games mean to you and why you're collecting for that system. And we'll showcase it here on the show, because I think community participation is always great. And I want to know your story. I want to hear your story. I think the rest of the guys want to hear your story. Why are you collecting for that system? Because some people might look at it and be like, hey, I wouldn't collect for that system. But to hear your story might change your mind. Yeah. So you guys seriously put it together. Mr. Moat, what do you got going on this weekend?
So because people keep asking for it, listen, chat, we're going to go live Thursday night. We're going to do a chill and chill 55, and we're going to catch up because it's Blairzilla's fault. It's other people's fault. Everybody keeps asking, when's the solid? Y'all want to talk about some home arcade stuff. So we give the people what they want. And then I might have Ezekiel. Listen, Ezekiel, I'm sorry that I did not. You can see I sound like I swallowed marbles. So me trying to record a view about your Power Rangers demo that you're working on wouldn't have sounded good at all. So I'm going to premiere it right after that stream Thursday night. So doing that Thursday night. Friday, we're going to do some I Got Next, hang out, and watch pay-per-view Saturday because Payback. And
yes.
That's all I got. That's all I got I can think of and stuff. So
awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to sleep and drink some green tea. Tea is delicious. and dark chocolate.
And if he's not feeling any better, he'll be doing his sexy Barry White voice again.
Wait. So wait. Hold on, people. So hold on. Wait. So I'm looking at it right now. Vessel's like, dang, Moat with the sex voice talk. He's hot with the ladies. Listen, this is so no BS chat. This is my normal speaking voice. Like, this is how I speak. I have to try to talk like this because I feel like people can hear me. But no, listen, my throat hurts. No, this is my normal speaking voice. So just saying, let's just keep it clean like that. But that's what I got, man.
Oh, well, we hope you feel better, guys. Make sure you check out his channel, A Mike of All Trades, but also it is the Back Alley.
Oh yeah.
Come on now. I gotta help you out here.
I'm sick.
I'm trying.
Yeah. So Back Alley 7-Eleven over there. Like I said, you guys ever want to see content? That's where you go. We're on the way to 1K. You know, what I'm saying you can. There's memberships. There's emotes. Where it's all about the tournament scene. So whatever, or just laughs and jokes and spokes on this sort of thing. And whatever else you want to see us spoof on Survivor, we got that. You want to see competition, we got that. You want to watch me watch? I was going to watch the Nintendo Direct tomorrow morning, but I'm sick as a dog, so that's not happening. Yeah, yo, we're on the way. When we get 1,050, I'm doing a giveaway because I support the people, and I'm debating on the code that's inside of this PS5 that I'm picking up Friday. If I want to give that away as a giveaway too, because I don't need it because I have the collector's edition, and that comes with the digital deluxe. So anyway, whatever. Just be subscribed. All kinds of cool stuff, man. We do a lot of stuff over there, man, especially for charity. So yeah,
Awesome.
over there, and it's free to sub. So yeah,
there you go. There you go. Mr. Bill, what do you got?
Well, it sounds like the guy over there who's dying has got way more going on than I do. So good on him. I don't know. Like I said, I know that Nintendo Direct is going on tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get a chance to check that out. I don't. Depending on what that does, who knows? Maybe I'll put a video out about that. I was talking about that console that I bought. I'm debating on doing a feature on that, so that may show up pretty soon. Yep. And other than that, as usual, I play it by ear, and when stuff pops up, I make a video.
Awesome. And guys, let us know in the comments. Did you like the way we did the news today? Is that something we should do all the time to kind of give you guys, hit you with the news? That way you don't have to sit there and listen to us ramble about the news. Leave a comment below so we can get Will more involved. I actually have a video dropping tonight at 10:30. So you guys want to stay tuned for that. I have a few other videos that I'm working on. I'm forcing myself. You guys gave me a lot of good feedback. I'm going to start some videos on comparing some handhelds and games and doing some of these Mega Drives and showing you guys what some of the Mega Drives can do and things like that. So there's going to be some cool videos coming. You guys got me all pumped up now to do that. So, but we really appreciate it. We wanted to get out of here in an hour. I think hour 7 minutes, I think is pretty good. Guys, we will see you next time. Have a great Labor Day weekend. It's going to be a toasty one, but have a great one. Enjoy it with your friends and your family, and we'll see you next week.
Oh, what a long show. I gotta use the restroom. What are you doing here? Why are you here? Can't you see a guy's gotta do what a guy's gotta... You already had me for 2 hours. Like, I gotta go. Like, this is scary. The fact that you're here. Just go. Get out of here. Go. Lights out. I gotta go. Come on. You gotta go. Go. Now.
Yo, wait. Yo, what are you doing here? Yo, you see I'm editing a video, right? Like, stream's over with. Y'all don't need to be here anymore. What, you want to help me edit? Alright. No, I missed a whole clip, so we just gonna go back through it, alright? See, I'm trying to get stuff together. The stream is over. Y'all ain't got no reason to be here anymore. Y'all should just go away. You know what I'm saying? Like, go away. You really want to sit here? Or do you want to go home? Make a decision. Man.
Man, what a long show. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, time to go to bed.
Hello? I think you left this on. Hello? Wow. You guys are all still here? The show's over. That's it. There's nothing left. Go! Go to bed! It's over! Go! No, seriously. That's it. Go! Go to bed! Chicka chicka!